Welcome to the next lecture in this lecture series on signals and systems. So, in the previous lecture, we started the systems part in this first unit, and we have discussed the basics of systems and the basic properties we have started, and in those properties, we have taken up two different properties. Okay, so today in the continuation of those properties, we will discuss some more properties related to the systems. Okay, so the next property will be the causality. Okay, so the question arises that what do we mean by causality, or what is the causal system. Okay, so a system is called a causal system if the output at any time t naught or n naught, depending on whether the system is continuous time or discrete time. So if the output at any time t naught depends only on the values of the input at the present time and in the past. Now what does it mean? That a system is called causal system if the output at any time depends on the present and past values of the input. Okay, so let's suppose that if the output is denoted by this yt, and let us suppose input is xt, and you take any time t naught at any this is any specific time instant t naught. So obviously the for present time, that means y t naught should be should have some relation with the x t naught, that is the value of the output y at this time t naught is depending on the value of the input at the same time t naught. Okay, so this actually means that the output is depending on the present values of time, and the past values of time usually will refer to any value of t which is less than this t naught. So this will mean the past value of t. Okay, so we can write that for causal systems, the output depends on the present and past values of the input. Okay, so sometimes the causal systems are also called non-anticipatory systems. Okay, so this is due to the obvious reasons that it cannot anticipate the future values. That is why the causal system are also called non-anticipatory systems. Okay, so one inference which we can get from here by the discussion of causal system is that if two inputs to a causal system are identical up to some time t naught or n naught, then the corresponding outputs must also be equal up to this time. So obviously this is due to the fact that a causal system cannot predict if the two inputs will be different after this particular time t naught. Okay, so mathematically we can represent this by using this mathematical expression, that let's suppose if the two inputs x1 and x2. Okay, so for all the values of n less than n naught, if x1 is equal to x2 and if it is given that the system is causal, then what will it mean? It will mean that the output will also be equal up to this particular time. Okay, so this is just the conclusion of what we have discussed for causal systems. And one more thing we can get from here, since we had already discussed the memory property in the previous lecture, that all the memoryless systems are causal systems. Why? Because the output responds only to the current value of the input. So this thing we have already discussed in the previous lecture, where we have discussed the memory property of the systems. Okay, so you can just note down this point, that all memoryless systems are causal systems. Since the output responds only to the current value of the input. Okay, so this is one important point. Now next we will try to see some numerical examples pertaining to the causal systems. Let's suppose, first of all, this is a given relationship between an input and output of a system, yn equals to nxn. Okay, so we have to determine that whether this system is causal or not. So you can just start your solution by just selecting any particular time value. Let's suppose you select n equals to some n naught. So what should be the value of the output at this particular time instant n naught? It will simply be y n naught, and that should be equal to the expression of the input, and you put the same time instant value in the expression for the input. Okay, so what you will get? You will get n naught times x n naught. Okay, and now you consider the output at some negative time. So yn at n equals to minus n naught, that will be equal to y minus n naught. So again you put the value of this n equals to minus n naught in the input, in the expression for the input, and then you will get something like this. Okay, so yn at n equals to minus n naught will be equal to minus n naught x of minus n naught. Okay, so in both these cases which we have discussed above, you can see that the present output depends upon the present input, and that is why this system is a causal system. Okay, so why? Because we have taken here the time as n naught, so the output at this particular n naught is depending only on the same you can say values of the input, because the time is same in the input expression. Okay, so and similarly when you consider a different time instant minus n naught, so again minus n naught is also coming here. So we can say that the output is depending on the present values of the input. Okay, because both these values are at the same time instant. That is why this system will be called a causal system. Okay. Now we'll try one more problem. Let us take this next problem, which is yn equals to x of minus n. Okay, so you again just start your solution in the similar way as it was done for previous problem. You take any specific time instant n equals to n naught, that will mean the output value at n naught, and then put the same value of n naught in the expression of the input as well. So in this case you will get yn naught will be equal to x of minus n naught. Okay, now you consider another case. You take yn, that is the output at some negative time. Okay, so that will be equal to y of minus n naught equals to x of minus n equals to minus n naught. That will make the input as x of n naught. Okay, now what you can see from both these expressions written over here is that in the first case the present output depends upon the past input. Okay, why? Because the time instant is n naught here and this is minus n naught. So minus n naught is passed in you can say in reference to this n naught value. So the output we can say depends on the past input. But in the second case you can see that the present output depends upon the future input. Why? Because here the variable is minus n naught and in the input case it is n naught. So n naught will obviously be the future value with respect to the minus n naught. So that means the present output in this second case depends on the future inputs, and that violates the condition of a system to be a causal system, because in causal system what we have learned that a system whose output value should depend only on the present and past values. It cannot be depend on future values. So now since in this second case the output is depending on the future values, so we can infer that this particular system which is given in the problem, it is a non-causal system. Okay, so you can write the explanation as that in the second case the output is depending on the future values, that is why the system which is given here is a non-causal system. Now you consider one more problem slightly of different type. Yt equals to xt cos of t plus 1. Okay, so again the question is same, that you have to determine whether the system is causal or not. Okay, so you can see that in this system the output at any time t naught, it equals the input at that same time multiplied by a number that varies with time. Okay, so this is output yt and this is input xt. So input is this only xt. So that is why it is said that the output at any time t naught, it equals the input at the same time, which is represented by this xt, multiplied by a number that varies with time. So this is a number which is varying with time only. So that means the current value of the input xt influences the current value of the output. Okay, so you can see from here that the current value of the input, because input is xt, input is represented by xt, so the current value of the input will affect the current value of the output, and that means you can just say in a reverse manner that the output is depending on the present value of the input. Okay, so that is why we can conclude that this system which is given here is a causal system. Okay, so why? Because you can say the current value of the input, which is xt, it influences or it affects the current output value and output is yt. So this means that this system given here is a causal system. Okay, so this is how the problems related to the causality of the systems will be solved. Now the next property for the system is stability. Okay, so stability is another very important system property, and a stable system is one in which small inputs lead to responses that do not diverge. Okay, so what does it mean? You can take the example of a pendulum. So if I draw the pendulum, this is the mean position. So you take the example of this pendulum. Okay, so this pendulum is a stable system. Why? Because if the input is the applied force and input is represented by this xt, and the output is the angular deviation yt from this vertical position, so you can take this yt as the output. Okay, so in this case what happens that gravity applies a restoring force, and that will tend to return the pendulum to the vertical position. So obviously if you deflect the pendulum to one of the sides, then there will be a restoring force which will be acting, and which will result in bringing the pendulum back to its vertical position. Okay, so whatever small force xt is applied, the resulting deflection from vertical will also be small. Okay, and that means that this system which is given here is a example of a stable system. Now on the contrary, if you take the example of an inverted pendulum, so this is an inverted pendulum. Okay, this is the inverted pendulum case. Now in this inverted pendulum, the effect of gravity is to apply a force that tends to increase the deviation from the vertical. So what is the result is that a small applied force, it will lead to a large vertical deflection, causing the pendulum to just deflect, and despite any retarding forces due to the friction, so it will just deflect in one of the direction. Okay, so this system is an example of an unstable system. Okay, so this is just the introductory example of the stability or instability. Okay, so now how do we define the stability? We define stability as a stable system is the one in which small inputs lead to responses that do not diverge, or there is a concept which is called bounded input, bounded output. Okay, BIBO in short it is called. So this is a concept related to the stability. System is said to be BIBO stable if and only if every bounded input results in a bounded output. Okay, so we can write it down here that a system is BIBO stable if every bounded input results in a bounded output. Okay, so the output of such type of system will not diverge if the input does not diverge. Okay, so that is the concept of this stability. If the input does not diverge, then the output should also does not diverge. The mathematically we can also represent it in this form that let's suppose if a signal xt if it is said to be bounded, if its magnitude does not grow without bound, that means that this xt, the magnitude of this input xt is less than equal to some fixed value bx. This is any finite value which is represented by this bx, and this is less than the infinity. So this is just representing that the magnitude of this input is a finite value. Okay, that means that the magnitude does not grow without bound. That is why this input will be called as bounded input. Okay, it is not growing without bound. So xt is said to be bounded if its magnitude does not grow without bound. Okay, that is as is represented in this mathematical relation. So a system is BIBO stable if for any bounded input, so for any bounded input xt which is shown here, the response yt is also bounded. The response which is yt is also bounded. That means if the magnitude of this input xt is less than any finite value which is represented by bx, then this should imply that yt should also be less than any finite value, that is the output should also be finite. So this condition is for stability. So for any given signal we have to show that for any bounded input the output is also bounded. Okay, so if this condition will be followed, then we can say that the system is a stable system. Now we'll try to see some examples. Let us consider this first example. Yt equals to t times xt. Okay, so the question is that you have to determine whether this system is a stable system or not. The input output relationship is given here. Xt is the input, yt is the output. So you have to determine whether it is stable or not. Okay. Now first of all, if you assume that the input is a bounded input, that means that the magnitude of the input xt, it is less than any finite value bx for all time values, for all the values of t. Now just by using the given input output relation, that is yt equals to t times xt, we may write that the magnitude of this yt, that is the magnitude which is given for this t times xt. Then separately also you can write the magnitudes of both t as well as xt. So this should be equal to the magnitude of t multiplied by the magnitude of xt, which is represented by this any finite value bx. Okay. So we can see from this relation that as this time tends to infinite values, that is as the time increases, the output will also increase without bound. That is, the magnitude of the output will also tend to infinite, or we can say in other words that the output is unbounded. Okay. So we can say that the output is unbounded. So that means that no matter what finite constant we pick, the magnitude of this output yt will always exceed that constant for some time t, because this is being multiplied by this magnitude of t. So whatever constant value is here, if this will be multiplied by this, then the resulting output will be unbounded. And that means that the condition that the input signal is bounded is not sufficient to guarantee that a bounded output signal will be produced, and that means that the given system is a unstable system. Okay, because the bounded input is not producing a bounded output. That is the definition of stability we have studied. So if the condition is not being followed, that means that the given system is an unstable system. So you can write here that the given system is an unstable system. Okay, why? Because to prove the stability for any system, we need to establish that all the bounded inputs should produce a bounded output. Now one more similar type of problem. Let's suppose now this is the given input output relationship for the system. Okay. Now the question is same, that we have to determine for this given system that this is either a stable system or not. So the solution will start in the same way, that you assume that the input, the magnitude of the input is bounded, that is, it is less than some finite value x, which is less than infinity for all the time values. Okay. Or you can also write this in a different way, so all these things are same, because then this value of xt will be in between some minus bx to bx. Okay. Now using the given input output relation, that is yt equals to e times of xt, we can write that yt should be in between e raised to the power minus bx and e raised to the power bx. Okay, so we have just put the value of, you can say, the magnitude of x in the given input output relationship. Okay, so in place of this x t, we have put its magnitude, which is this minus bx and bx. Okay, now what we conclude from this is that in this system, if any input is bounded by any arbitrary positive number, which is bx, then the corresponding output is guaranteed to be bounded by e raised to the power bx. Okay, so if this value is a bounded value, then the output will also be a bounded value, and that means that the given system is a stable system. Okay, so this is how the problems related to stability are solved. So in this lecture we discussed two properties of the signal, the causality and the stability. There are still some properties which are left to discuss, and those properties will be taken up in the next lecture. So this is all what we have to discuss in this lecture. Thank you very much.